Thank you all for joining once again. We're just going to wait 2 more minutes before we start. Just want to let more people join in before we kick off. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Ngozi Izuku, and I am so delighted to be moderating this session organized by the Finance Hub. So today's session is titled Careers in Finance, Finding Your Fit. And it's a weekly session exploring career paths within finance. And for this week, we're starting with our wonderful guest, Ayobami Omoli, a research analyst at United Capital. And we have another session next week and the week after and the week after. So we hope that you join us. Thank you for joining us for this one. We hope that you join us in our next session. So like I said, this session is organized by the Finance Hub, and the Finance Hub was launched in April 2020, and it's an e-learning and career development platform dedicated to helping finance enthusiasts and prospective finance professionals understand and prepare for careers in finance. So at the Finance Hub, we believe that everyone deserves a right to build a career in finance, regardless of their academic discipline. And we understand that some students or recent graduates from diverse disciplines have a hard time launching careers in finance. And we are dedicated to helping make that transition into the finance industry easier. So we aim for driven finance enthusiasts to begin their journey in becoming global finance leaders. And our objective is to raise the level of commercial awareness and understanding of the finance industry to aid students and recent graduates successfully tap into finance. And would also love it if you would connect with us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We have a lot of initiatives in line. We have a lot of things planned, and we want you to watch this space. Just look out for us. We are coming with so many amazing things. So today's session, we have the amazing Ayobami Omole. She's a research analyst at United Capital, and she has taken the time out of her so busy schedule to be with us here today and just to enlighten us and inspire us about what she does. So Ayobami, thank you for taking the time out to speak to us at this session. I believe that a lot of people will benefit from this session, and I believe that they would also be inspired by this chat. So how are you doing today? How's your weekend going?
Hi, Ngozi. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored. That's the word. I'm honored. My weekend is going well. I mean, I've been sick for a while, so this is the first day I'm, strong and around the house. So I'm having a great day.
And thank you for joining us. So how has life been in this COVID situation, the pandemic thing, how has it changed for you? And this is not work related for you. How have you been able to adapt to that change, this big change?
Mm. So, well, at the beginning, it was a bit hard, but then, I mean, I didn't have to go to work because before COVID, traffic used to be like number one stressor in my life. I have to be awake by 5. I have to be awake by 5 to get ready to make sure I leave the house by like 6:30 latest. And most times I have to wait back in the office because all the people that I used to follow home, they don't like leaving the office early. There was a day I left the office around 8 o'clock and I didn't get home till like 1 midnight. Yeah, I live
What?
on the island and like I work on the island, but it was just mad. So
So
I
it
was
wasn't like you're going back to the mainland or anything.
yeah, it was just on the same island though. And so I was so happy that I didn't have to deal with traffic or like Lagos Agboros. The only problem was like I was working long hours. I'll wake up by 6, start working almost immediately, and sometimes I'm not shutting down to like 12. Everybody felt like, oh, you're at home, so why not? Somebody sent an email today. I'm just going to ignore it, right? Uh,
I feel
but
you.
yes, so that's the thing. Like everybody just does things at their own time because they feel like everybody's working at home, so why not? Um, at the beginning, I used to go for a walk early in the morning, like around my area with my siblings. But along the way, we started dropping, and it was just weekends. Then nobody was going for work anymore. But I think I'm going to resume now because I
Yeah.
realized that it was actually helping me, being able to get fresh air outside.
Yeah.
But apart from that, generally, I like being in my house, so not a problem at all.
Thank you.
I miss seeing my friends, but I think I've gone against COVID guidelines and I've gone out to dance with my friends.
Haven't we
So I
all?
don't miss them anymore.
Haven't we all? Oh my God. Thank you so much, Arabami. So, before we start, there's something I actually missed in the beginning. I just want to let everyone know that you can ask your questions at any point using the Q&A box. And then you can also use the chat box to share your socials, talk to people and just let us know what you're doing. Let us just know more about you in the chat box. But for your Q&A, please use the Q&A box to ask your questions. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I omitted that in the beginning.
No
So,
problem.
Rami, we want to learn more about you. We want to know your background, what you're currently doing, just in case I didn't get it right. Just tell us about yourself. This is not an interview. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said tell us about yourself because, and then I don't want to, no pressure, no pressure. But
Okay.
let's just learn about you and your background.
Okay. My name is Aibami, like it's there on the screen. And most of my friends call me Bam Bam.
I
Yeah, I
call you
know.
Bam.
Or some people call me Bami. Don't call me Abayomi. Like I'm not going to answer you. Call me Abayomi. Like it's a real thing. I'm actually just going to hear your message. It's very important. Don't call me Abayomi. I studied economics in Bangkok University. I made the first class, but please don't ask
Ooh.
me economics questions that are so hard. It's not a guarantee that I will be able to answer your hard economics questions. I graduated in 2019, so I'm currently 7. Currently doing my NYC, so I'm collecting extra 33,000 naira from the federal government of Nigeria, which is going to end in October, and I'm quite sad about that. I'm a research analyst at United Capital. Yeah. Which other thing would you like to know about it? Oh, yeah. I have 4 siblings, 2 sisters and 2 brothers. And I'm the last girl. I wish I was the last one, but unfortunately I'm not. So that's everything you need to
Okay,
know.
so why don't you tell us why you decided to study economics?
Okay. So there are always like some girls in your class when you were in secondary school that seem to know everything. So I'm that kind of person, the person that you didn't like in class that was always getting, the prize for almost all the courses. So I was very good in maths in particular. I was good in accounting. I was good in government. I was a top student. Let's just say that. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I mean, that has always been a very constant thing in most of the decisions I take. I'm not always quite sure. So I wasn't quite sure. And somebody told me that, oh, with economics, you get to do a blend of everything. You get to do a blend of governments. I mean, you like writing, you get the opportunity to write. You're very good in math, so you actually get to apply the math skills. What else? It was just everything. So it was just, I mean, the best decision to make at that point. I was in commercial class, right? So the options were quite limited. So it was either business administration, accounting, or economics. Or what else would I have studied with commercial class? So I didn't want to do accounting because as much as I used to pass it, I didn't like it. I still don't know how to debit and credit everything properly. Business administration, I wasn't sure. I felt like, I could always do an MBA. My mom told me I could always do an MBA. So I just went for a degree in economics because, it gave me an opportunity to just do whatever and I'll be able to choose a lot of career paths from that.
Okay, thank you so much. So, why don't you tell us about research? So, you're a research analyst at United Capital.
Yeah.
What's your role like, and what role does research play in the finance industry?
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to talk about research analyst from what my job role is like and, the type of things that research analysts do everywhere else. So I'm a research analyst at United Capital. I do equity research on tier two banks in Nigeria. So the tier two banks are the banks that are not the Fugas banks. So like SMB, Fidelity, Stanbic, and Sterling. So that is the equity research. I do a bit of macroeconomics. So what is happening with FX? What is happening with the general economy, and how is it going to impact our businesses? At United Capital, the way our research is that we support all the businesses. So there are four businesses that United Capital is currently engaged in, and that's investment banking, asset management, stockbroking, and trusteeship. So each of those business, they have like specific needs. For example, investment banking, they want to know, is it a good time to go to the market for a client? Is there money in the system? Or they want to know how an industry is doing and the positioning of their clients. Sometimes we don't know who the client is because of Chinese wall, but you get what I mean. For asset management, they want to know where is the direction of the yield. Are we expecting high interest rates? What's the direction of the equities markets? Is the equity market going up? For trusteeship, I mean, what they need also is also sort of in line. For stockbroking, their own need is more like short-term forecast. So yeah, it's a balance of all those things. But primarily, like I said, I do equity research. So for each of those banks that I cover, it's to analyze their results and whatever it is that is happening in the general environments, regulatory environments, and macro environments, and see what are the future prospects for those businesses. And would you advise your clients to buy, sell, or hold their stock? Now, research analysts in other places, there's a lot of things that they do. And because United Capital, the team is quite small. I mean, generally, the research team in Nigerian banks are quite small because our market is not that deep. But in advanced markets, you see credit analysts, you see ESG analysts, that's environmental, social, and governance analysts. You see people who do equity research analysts separate from macroeconomics analysts, and you see people that do the markets, FX markets separately. But yeah, that's the summary. And why is research very important? So for a lot of these businesses, most times the way they see the market is quite different or is very short. Their eye view is limited, and they need people who are unbiased to tell them the truth as to what is happening in the markets, if you get what I mean. So for an investment banker, for example, most of the time, as an investment banker, you'll be focused on closing your deal, getting to know your clients and your businesses properly, and sourcing the funds. So you don't necessarily sometimes, although you should know, but sometimes you might not be able to sit down and analyze how a new CBN regulation is going to affect liquidity in the system. Maybe if you have a research background, it will be easy for you to tell. But if not, I mean, taking the time out to now say, let me sit and
you'd be busy trying to land those deals, right?
yes, exactly. Yes, so you're busy, you don't have the time to do all of that. Or for let's say an asset manager, you're trying to balance your portfolio, you're trying to make sure that the risk and reward is balanced. Sometimes you don't even know that an opportunity might be opening. So as a research analyst, you're also like the extra eye, you're trying to see what are the risks, what are the potential reward, trying to spot opportunities and highlight places where there can be like excess risk and telling the businesses around.
Okay. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Ayobami. Sounds like research is a lot of fun, and research plays an important role in the finance industry. So, what I would also like to know is what an average day in your life as a research analyst is like. As a
Okay.
research analyst at United Capital, so just tell me what you do in the morning. You don't need to go into too much details because obviously those kind of things are confidential, but just give us a feel of what your life is.
Okay. So I'll say saying a typical day is there's no typical day. Okay, well, there's a typical day for different seasons. So there's a season that we call earnings season. That's the season when all the companies are releasing their results. And this usually happens like it's usually a rush. I think like it was so earnings season is like maybe end of the quarter. So let's say you have like the quarter is January to March. April and May is probably going to be any season. So that's when a lot of companies are releasing their results. Then there's also the end of the year. So I think I'm going to give you a typical day in it. I'll just give you a typical day without any season or without the end of the year. So let's take a Monday, for example. On a Monday, I wake up. My work starts by me attending meetings. Usually meetings are like 9, so sometimes you're just trying to settle down, make sure your notes are ready for the meeting. Go to the meeting, present what happened in the previous week in the markets and the outlook for the current week and what fund managers or what investment bankers should look out for. So sometimes the meetings might be up to 3 or 4, depending on how loaded that Monday is. Like I said, we support like 4 different businesses, but I usually attend like 2 meetings max. Then we have a team meeting to strategize and highlight what our deliverables for that week is. Mondays usually go with a lot of meeting. Then around so the market closes around 2 o'clock. You have to prepare price lists. You get the raw price list from your traders and you send it in a proper template to your investors that are signed up on your mailing list. Usually, it's the most junior person on the team that gets to do that. I'm currently the most junior person on my team, so I get to do that. That's one of the tasks I don't usually like because it's very routine and you might not learn anything from it after some points. I mean, at the beginning, it teaches you things like being paying attention to details and being very diligent and learning to keep to time. That's one. So send the price list. Before sending price list, somebody might have come with a request to say, please, I need the number of Iroko trees in Africa. No, I'm just joking. But sometimes people come with very difficult requests or data requests, and you have to pull it up from Bloomberg. So let's say they want comparables, or an investment banker needs like comparable ratios of gold producing companies in Africa, for example. So you work on that and you send it out as soon as possible. So after sending the price list, you need to do a market summary of what happened in the equities market. In my own team, there's something that we do every day, which is daily insights. So we write a short piece about 200 to 250 words of anything happening in the macroeconomics. So, for example, last week, SEC said, they're going to start approving crypto. So you can decide to write on that because you think that it is of value to your investors. So yeah, stuff like that. So it might take a while to, I mean, it seems like just 200 words to 250 words, but it might take a long time for you to come up with what you want to write. Then send it out to your reviewer, which is your boss or a more senior person on the team, the review. On some days, like you might have like a long-term project that you're working on. So let's say your boss has given you a task, a report to work on over a period of 1 month. You have to divide it into, anyhow you choose to work on it. So in whatever free time that you have, you can be working on that project. At the same time, like you have to be very alert as to what is happening in the market, because anything can happen at any time. So for example, let's say Stanbic releases a short note about a share buyback or something. You have to alert the stockbrokers, write a short note how you think is going to impact the share price of Stanbic, and send it to them directly. That is usually a typical day. You never know what is coming. You just have to. I mean, there are the routine things that you do generally, but your work will take the direction of what the market is saying. Stanbic, everybody can decide to release notes on the same day, so you're just going to be swamped till midnight. On earnings, in any season, companies release their results. So let's say I'm covering, it was like 3 weeks ago, all the banks decided to release their results around the same time. And I was almost, maybe that's why I even fell sick. It was so bad. It was just as Stanbic is releasing, Zenith is releasing. So when they release, you need to send an earnings flash. An earnings flash is a summary of, the results. Then after sending the earnings flash, then you write a note, which is the earnings update. So you update your model with the new numbers, like their results, and you talk to the outreach, you talk to the results. How did they do? Was it in line with your expectation? Did they do below your expectation, above your expectation? What were the drivers, and what's going to be the driver going forward? Do you still maintain your rating, buy, sell, or hold? I mean, it's good to say these things, but sometimes like the numbers will just confuse your head, and like you're just like Jesus Christ, and you have to call like research analysts around to see, okay, what are you thinking? This is what I'm saying. Are you seeing the same thing? What do you think about this particular thing? It's a bit confusing. Then the companies, they also hold like earnings call, where the management, they explain their earnings to you. Although sometimes you don't get all the information you need, you go there with your questions and ask them, oh, there's something confusing about this thing. Can you shed more light on it? What's your guidance for the future? So yeah, that's like a summary.
Thank you so much, Ayobami. So I just have one question before I dive into the questions that other people have to ask. So how do you keep yourself commercially aware? Because I know that in your role as a research analyst, you need to understand macroeconomics, you need to be up to date. So what are the things that you do personally to keep yourself aware of these things that are happening in the economy, both like the economy of Nigeria and like the international or global economy rather?
Okay. Well, that's one thing people always ask me. But I think for my role, because it's very important for me to be aware of these things, it's also very easy for me to be aware of them. I work with research analysts. If I don't know, somebody will definitely know and somebody will talk about it. Since I started working from home, for example, we don't get to talk as much. But when we were in the office, like if something happens, somebody would definitely talk about it and be like, oh, guys, did you see this? And most research analysts in their office, they have TV. So when we're working from office, like there was a TV that was always on and tuned to like Bloomberg or CNBC. In my house, when the TV is on, we're watching Netflix. So how I stay up to date is by my phone. So my Bloomberg, I have Bloomberg installed on my phone. The news app. So the notification pops up. Instead of talking about it physically, so people send things to our group chats at work, and they just send the news as it's developing, and sometimes we just talk about it and bounce off ideas. And I also, so interestingly for me, most of my friends are also people in finance. So I mean, finance people like to talk about finance. So somebody will always bring it to the group chat, whether it's out of frustration or, oh my God, see this. I'm I'm also signed up to a lot of finance mailing lists.
Yeah.
newsletters, mailing lists. So for international news, I have Finimize and the Deal Book by New York Times. For Nigerian news or Nigerian updates, I'm signed up to Chapel Hill Denham, their mailing list. I'm signed up to ARM because I've interned at ARM before, so I'm still on the mailing list. So yes, the news is just everywhere. You hardly see things like, it's just like without searching for it, it's just there. I have to make a conscious effort to search for things on entertainment, but for finance, it's just somewhere in my mailing list. I just need
Yeah.
to search. So it's just around me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ayobami. So I also wanted to ask, for you, do you prefer, because now you said finance guys like talking about finance. I know that they want to talk about what's happening. Sometimes it might just be to show that, oh, I know what's happening in the economy. And sometimes it might just be from a place of genuine interest and just trying to make a conversation. But for you, do you think you miss the times when you'd be at the office and people will be talking about you know the what's happening in industry, or you think the WhatsApp chat is okay for you, it works?
So for me, like looking at my screen so much or social media generally, it gets overwhelming sometimes, especially with like WhatsApp. People jump messages. So I mean, there's a group chat that I'm on. I've not opened it for like 2 weeks, and there are like 1,000 messages.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I don't want to open a group chat, and sometimes it's very easy for me to like to lose track of the conversation. I can just close it and go and do something else, and it will now be a lot of problem for me to go back and read the over 200 messages that people have left. So for anything I do generally, I prefer like one-on-one interactions. Um, Before COVID started, if I was given the option of like an online interview and a virtual interview, I'll go. Sorry, an online interview and a face-to-face interview. I'll go with face-to-face interview because I just like human connection better, and I like to talk to people one-on-one better. But since that is what we have now, I would just have to deal with it and find a way to balance the message overload or the information overload.
Yeah, because I think like it's sometimes it's difficult to, because WhatsApp is supposed to be a social, I would say
Yeah,
social media, but it's where you connect with your family and friends. And now it
friends,
seems like WhatsApp is now a work thing. So
working,
you're on
yeah.
WhatsApp groups for work, your team, you're on WhatsApp groups for even your the
I'm tired.
I know, right? So WhatsApp group for news, financial news, WhatsApp group for this and that. And
Yeah,
I don't know, like, how do you
WhatsApp group for church.
WhatsApp group for church? You see, so it can be very tiring,
Yeah,
honestly. Thank you for sharing. I think we'll just dive into the questions because I'm seeing questions coming in already. I had some questions before, but let's try to answer this one. So someone's asking, do you have any tips? I think person meant for students trying to break into the finance industry without any finance related degree or a quantitative heavy degree.
uh so the thing is, like, I studied economics, so it was not a problem for me. They're always looking for economists in finance. But I have a couple of friends that didn't study economics or that didn't study anything related to finance. In fact, there's someone in my office, she studied agric and she's currently in investment banking. But she didn't just like graduate and come like that. She had to start as an intern.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, like, if you're still in uni, then that's great. You get like huge opportunity to intern in, like, you just have to be very what's the word? You have to be very intentional and very proactive about getting internships in finance companies. If you can take like professional courses, but I'm usually careful when I'm advising people to take professional courses because you might even try out finance and not like it, and
Yeah.
that's how your professional course money would have wasted, would have burnt. So I mean, Ngozi can speak to that, but from the people around me that didn't study finance related course or in a quant heavy course, the things that they've done is, take professional courses. I mean, there are some courses that you don't even have to pay for. So I know that CFA, they have like an investment foundation
Yeah.
course. online. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to be dedicated. And if you're really serious about, transitioning into finance, that shouldn't be a problem for you to take that course. So you can check it out, CFA Investment Foundations. It's totally free and you can write the exam online. So take that, take internship opportunities, and you don't have to wait for somebody to teach you. Start reading about finance, sign up to Finimize, sign up to, all those newsletters and stay up to date. So by the time an opportunity comes and you're invited for interview, they can already see the passion, the way you speak to, finance related topic. And if you, like I said, if you're staying in uni, it's the best time to go through internship opportunities. And there are companies, it doesn't even have to be like a core finance company. I know that big four companies, they offer like internship opportunities. ARM, they have a structured program, ARM Young Talent Program. Some of these ones, they might be highly competitive. So other ways you can go about it is use LinkedIn and reach out to people. There's something I do. So, there's a way you can use LinkedIn to search for people. So a particular company, search for the company. Don't click on the company suggestion or company logo. Just search for it, click on people and filter it. You can look for people that finished from your university. It's easier to start a conversation with them and say, oh, I see that you finished from this university. I'm trying to get an internship in XSX because I want to transition into finance. Is there any way you can help me? Or is there any, just find a way to structure the message and tell them, oh, you'd really like to transition into a career in finance and, you'd like to have a chat with them. So just start asking them for work immediately, etc., and so on and so forth. And yes, finance is where anybody can work, to be honest. It's not like law that you have to go to law school, and it's not like medicine that you have to go to medical school. You can actually do it if you're determined to do it.
Thank you so much, Ayobami. I believe that you have answered that question so spot on. I would also want to add that it's also good for you to, so sometimes some internships can come to you and they might not attach any pay to it. I'm not encouraging free work. I'm not encouraging what's it called now? Labor without pay. But sometimes you can, try to initiate a conversation saying, oh, I'd just like to shadow you for a week or 2 weeks to see what it's like to be in this particular role. And by the time that is when you have already gotten to the point where you've gone to their LinkedIn, you've connected with them, you're trying to network, you cannot bring that in. So by the time the person sees that you're passionate and you're ready to, because one thing that discourages people is that we're going to have to pay this person, but just say, okay, just give me 2 weeks. I just want to shadow you and see what you actually do. And I believe that it would work and you'd be able to break into finance. It's not rocket science. Like someone told me, the only thing that is rocket science is rocket science. Aside from that, nothing else is rocket science. So so the next question now. My question is, what skills and knowledge did she develop? Now you, Ayobami, what skills and knowledge did she develop while in school other than academics that has helped her transition into the industry seamlessly? Also, how has she learned while on the job?
Okay, so for me, I think one particular skill that I learned in school and that has helped me is my ability is my vocal communication, my spoken communication. So, the particular job the work I'm currently doing as a research analyst at United Capital. I remember during my interview, my boss was like, oh my God, you sound so confident when you're talking. And it wasn't always like that. So in school, I was very timid, I was very shy, but I had to do something about it. So I joined the debating team. I offered to tutor my friends and the whole class, and any public speaking opportunity that came up, I took it. Because as a research analyst, like I said, my typical day, I have to present to like different teams and I have to communicate with different teams. So apart from the fact that you're constantly writing, you're constantly like working with models and working with numbers, you also have to be able to communicate. So I worked on my communication skills, spoken communication particularly, and it has really helped me because, like I said, you have to communicate frequently. I've had to be on like webinars for my office, and it's because I can communicate properly. And for research analysts, it's very important that you're very visible, like you're out there. So sometimes if you're very good or if you do it very often, they will invite you for like talk show on CNBC, on Bloomberg, on Arise TV, on channels to talk about your findings. And it's important that you're able to do it. So I'm really glad that I developed that skill because my boss said one of the reasons why they employed me was because I was confident or I sounded confident. Right. Yeah. So what's the second part of questions? Question.
How has she learned while on the job? So how have you
Uh,
learned?
well, you learn by doing the work. So I mean, that's why the fact that I studied economics and I had a couple of finance internships before my current job. It still felt like I didn't know anything when I started. So you learn by doing the work. So I mean, my modeling is still not the greatest, but by trying your hands on one model or the other. Using Bloomberg can be quite confusing. There are a lot of commands. So I learned by using Bloomberg and I took like a Bloomberg market concept course. So I learned more and I've been able to apply by using it. So I've been learning more. For research, to be honest, a lot of things you learn by doing the work and reading. So there are sometimes I've written things and a senior person on the team will just cancel it and say it doesn't make sense. I mean, they won't tell you like that, it doesn't make sense, not to hurt your feelings. But yeah, they will just cancel it and write something else. And I mean, you go and look at what you wrote, you look at what the person wrote, and you just check it out and see, okay, this is how the person approached it. And you just learn from that. Sometimes you ask questions, you keep asking people questions, read other people's research reports, and you see things that you don't quite understand and you don't see how they got to that point. If the person is your friend, you can hit the person up and say, oh, I saw this in your report. Do you mind explaining? Or reach out to somebody else, maybe a senior person on your team, and say, oh, I read this report and I saw this thing. Do you know how this person, or do you have an idea how this person reached this point? For example, there were a lot of things that I would not have known if COVID did not happen. So COVID happened, and there was a time oil prices, that's WTI crude oil, entered negative. I've never heard it in my life that the price of the commodity will enter negative. But because that particular incident occurred, I was like, oh, okay, so this can happen. Why did it happen? So for research role, for example, most of the things that you do, you learn on the job. But your teachability, like being teachable is very important because I've seen people that they don't know anything, but they're not willing to be taught. Like you might say you want to learn, but like you have to have the attitude and the humility to not know things and be able to ask people questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayobami. So I actually have one question that I personally want to ask. So many university students who want to break into finance face one major problem. That is not knowing what aspect of finance they want to break in. So what advice would you give to students who are currently facing this problem? So there are lots of people, so which is one of the reasons why we started this weekly chat session. There are lots of people that know that they want to do finance, nothing else but finance, but they're not sure, they don't know what area of finance they want to break into. So what advice would you, and what do you think helped you in making that decision? What advice, okay, my first question is, what advice would you give to people facing this problem, and what helped you to make that decision?
Okay, so when I was taking a research role, I took a research role because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it was, I actually don't know what I want to do. I know I want to do something in finance. I'm not sure if it's investment banking or if I want to do asset management or if I want to be a trader, right? So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just spend my NYC year taking a research role because in research, I mean, research in the company I'm working in, I get to sort of see what everybody's doing. One, two, I get to learn a lot of things that is very important for whatever role I decide to take on in future. So starting from a research role is a great idea. Another way you can go about it without spending 1 year of your life in research is to, mind you, starting in research is actually a very great idea because you learn a lot, like I said, a lot about everything, like I said. But another way to go about it is, reach out to people in, there are so many options. So if you want to go into finance, There's private equity, there's investment banking, there's venture capital, there's trading. Reach out to people in some of those roles that you've highlighted or spotlighted, or that you've seen that you might be interested in. Ask them what their life is like. Not like that. Ask them what the skills are required. Yeah, what the job is like and what that's taken from them. What their advice for young people is. And you can also read online. For example, in investment banking, know that you'll be working long hours. Know that you have to be a very confident person. You have to be, a mad networker. You have to know how to network with people a lot. You'll be building a lot of PowerPoint slides and models. As a portfolio manager, it's not as stressful as investment banking, but you have to pay attention to details a lot. I mean, for all financials, you have to pay attention to details a lot. You must be passionate about making money for other people, that kind of thing. As a trader, your work is like maybe between 9 to 2, short period of time, but within that period of time is high intensity. So are you ready to take on an high intensity role? What's your temperament like? So you can actually read online and see, okay, this is what a day in the life of a trader is like. Is this something I'm willing to do? A day in the life of an investment banker, is this something I'm willing to do, etc, etc. Because a lot of these things, your personality type also matters. So read about it, read widely about it. There's a website called Finance Walk. Somebody recommended it, and yes, it does a decent job in breaking down like the daily life or the requirements of different financials. Yeah, like I said. So for example, in investment banking and private equity. I mean, private equity is like buy side, investment banking sell side, but a lot of the skills are transferable, and private equity is less demanding than investment banking. But people usually require that you have like years of experience in investment banking. So you can look at it. Am I actually willing to go through this like stress for 2 years and go into PE? So it's just you being able to understand what you want for yourself, or the type of person you are, and what you're willing to tolerate. So like I said, I chose research because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I said it in my interview that I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I think that the 1 year, like this year in my life, will help me figure it out. I might still take on a research role after NYC, the way I am looking at it, and I might take on an investment banking role. So those are like the short list for me: investment banking or research.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayobami. That was really insightful. I believe that now when people, anyone that's faced with this kind of problem would know that they need to understand how each role fits into their personality type, and it fits into their interest and their skills. Okay, so I think we'll just answer 2 or 3 more questions before coming to the end of this session. So someone's asking, how can I make a career switch from consulting to research?
Okay. All right. So I think, well, there are a lot of transferable skills between consulting and research, and it depends on how many years you spend. But I don't think anything is impossible. So I mean, the first thing is highlight, know the skills that are transferable. Do your research. So your ability to build PowerPoint, your writing skills, very important. The fact that you're already doing a certain level of research in consulting is also a good point to note. Uh, the next thing would be to understand like the research. So what type of research are you looking to do? Macroeconomics, equity research, and it would be good for you to take like maybe courses on building models for an equity company. Do your own work. Just, I'm not an expert in switching career, but what I'll just say is like actually do your own work and know things, because a lot of people always learn on the job. But your ability to demonstrate your interest in a particular role will go a long way for you. So having done that, reach out to people in companies that you would like to work in and sell yourself. And say, yeah, I know I've not done a lot of research, but this is what I've done. And CFA also helps. So CFA is actually a highly regarded course in finance, particularly for analysts, so portfolio managers and research analysts. So if you can do CFA, maybe your level one, to show that, yeah, I'm actually really interested in this, and I'm, putting my money where my mouth is. I'm putting in the effort. So I think it should be easy. But yeah, primarily do your homework and reach out to people.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibami. So I think I'd also like to add that because most of the questions that we're getting here are similar to, or how do I break into finance, or how do I start switch from this career to this other career? I think there's something someone once told me, and the person said, if you want something to work for you, you have to create something out of nothing. And you're seeing that, oh, okay, so I'm doing consulting, for instance, and I want to do research. And there's no need to feel disadvantaged or feel like I have no experience, I didn't study this, or I
Yeah.
didn't, it doesn't make sense. You're killing yourself before you're even dead. So the
Yeah.
thing is, it's the same thing. Networking skills, your networking skills have to be A1. You have to. I remember when I started my finance journey, um, and I was alone. I felt very alone. I didn't have any finance friends. I knew that for me to know what to do and the right things, I needed to know a lot of people in the finance industry. And now I can say that I have more than half of my friends are in finance, and that has helped me a lot. So you need to also connect with like-minded people. So when you connect with like-minded people, you're driven, and you tend to do more. You tend to do. You try to adapt and try to see what's happening in the environment, in that particular industry. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need to network your LinkedIn. Like Ibami has dropped like really top skills, top tips on how to network on LinkedIn. Find people that went to your university, find people that live in the same region as you do, whatever. Just find a common interest share on their LinkedIn or whatever. Find all those things, and also you need to show interest in that particular thing that you're doing. If it's research you want to do, you need to be able, so that when that opportunity comes, you can then show them that, okay, you see, I don't have a research background, I don't have a finance background, but I have been doing this thing. I've done my personal study. I know about this thing. I am ready for this show. I'm ready to learn. I'm curious. All of that. So I think that just it answers most of the questions that we have here, about, because most of them are trying to, how do you break into the industry? How do you break into the industry? Understand what you want to do, network, and show that you're ready. Take courses. Now, I feel like nowadays there's no excuse, because there are lots of resources everywhere, literally on YouTube, on Google. There are lots of websites, lots of free blogs that you can, read, watch videos, and learn so much about whatever you need to know. So it's also important that you do that. So someone is asking, so I'll just go to this newsletter, the commercial awareness thing. Besides newsletters, are there other modes one can use to become commercially aware? Ebami, I think that question is for you.
Um. Okay. I think I already mentioned the ways I stay commercially aware. So listen to TV, sign up to news apps. So you can, I mean, for Bloomberg, you need to, I think you can only read 3 articles for free in a month, and it's quite expensive. There's tiers business. Excuse me. Excuse me. So there's tiers business. You can sign up for their premium package. I think it's like 4K per month. And they like provide really nice insights. But yes, newsletters, newspapers, listen to what people are saying, listen to television. I mean, at some point, because of the way the internet now works, if you continue searching for the same type of things, the suggestions will just keep coming towards that direction, with all these algorithms. So on Instagram too, for example, I follow Bloomberg Business, and I see some of their posts summarized. On Twitter, yes, Twitter is a fantastic tool, although you have to be careful not to get on the wrong side of Twitter and get sucked into a lot of unnecessary arguments. But on Twitter, I follow people who are, finance experts, people who have years of experience, and they're always tweeting about finance. I follow people who tweet about my area of interest. So you find almost every business page as a Twitter page. So you can follow channels on Twitter. As the news is coming out, they're tweeting about it. Punch is tweeting about it. Follow people who on Twitter who are not just tweeting the news, they're also tweeting their opinions about the news. So I follow a lot of finance people on Twitter, like I said. That's another way. Twitter is actually very important to stay updated. So sometimes when people are talking about something like something that we've broken down on Twitter, so as they ought, you will be seeing it like this.
Yeah.
But you also have to be careful.
I also want to add like a pro tip. So it would also be nice for you to what's that thing you subscribe for, not subscribe, for their notifications. So there's a way you can
Yeah.
how do they do that thing? So anytime they make it tweet, for example, if you're following Bloomberg, then you set your
Post
Twitter and social
notification,
media.
put on post
Yeah,
notification.
exactly. Post notifications. Thank you. So that way, whenever anything happens, even if you might not go into details, you already know the headline. You already know that okay, this thing is going to happen. So for example, there's this thing about Donald Trump banning TikTok and WeChat in the US by Sunday. I haven't gone into details.
But you know
I
it's
saw it because I mean I think it was Bloomberg that I just got the notification on my phone. So it helps you to keep updated with the news. And another thing is so another pro tip for so Wall Street Journal is also a very good um, a place to get the news and get like proper analysis. But as we all know, Wall Street Journal, you have to pay for it and it's quite expensive. So there's this app called Deloitte Insights. So Deloitte Insights is an app by Deloitte, obviously. And they do this proper analysis of the news. And then they also so posts from Wall Street Journal as well. They post it on that app for free. So the app is free. So you get to see things that Wall Street Journal, top news from Wall Street Journal, and then Deloitte analysis of the news. Like it's really amazing. I had just discovered it about 2 weeks ago, and it's been the bomb. So I just felt like I should share that with you. So
thank you.
to download the app, and because when I saw Wall Street Journal, I'm like, no, you're kidding. How come no one knows about this? So I'm here to, share the good news. So you can use, I'm just going to type it in the chat box so you can just get to download the app. So I think that, the other questions are basically breaking into finance, breaking into the industry. And I think we've sort of covered all of that. So before we round up this session, there's a poll I'd like us to vote on. So it's on the screen now. Would you like to launch a career in research? So I'm just going to give it about 30 seconds, so 10 more seconds before I end the poll.
Right, guys, don't forget to drop like your social media handles so that you guys can connect with each other, with one another. Because one thing that also helps in like your journey is that like if you have a lot of people around you that are going in the same direction. So for example, I have a lot of friends that I can always call and say, if I feel like I'm disturbing the people in my office too much, I can always call them and say, oh, you guys, I don't understand this. Can you help me? And, that shared knowledge, sometimes they see job opportunities and they say, oh, Ayobami, you mentioned you were interested in this. I saw this opening. Are you interested? Or sometimes recruiters actually reach out to them on LinkedIn and they are not interested in the role and they can just push it to me and say, I'm not interested, but I know somebody that might be interested, and just tell the recruiter to reach out to me. So it's really important that you also network. Like I can't say it enough. You don't know anything. Like you can't know everything. It's not possible. No man is an island. Nobody's an island, and that's like the fact. you need people who are going to be your ears and your eyes. So
I actually even remember very recently, Barbara, I don't know if you can remember, I had to do something at work and you had to do this quick research, and I had a deadline. And I remember just calling Ayabami and saying, "Oh, please, I need this thing urgently." And because I had that access to her, because I knew her, I got the information that I needed. She shared the document that I needed to have, and I was a superstar at the meeting the next day because I had. So imagine if I did not know Ibami, I didn't know anyone in research. Do you understand? So I would not have to have just been, oh, okay. So I stood out at my meeting because I got that information from Ibami. So it's very important for you to network. So that's why I said try to share your socials. You never know. Lots of people that I have met or that have helped me, I don't think I've ever met them physically. GC, like there's people I connected with on LinkedIn, people I connected with from a friend and as a friend, and it's amazing what the power of network can do to your careers and your life in general. So thank you so much everyone for joining us for this session. I had fun. I really enjoyed this session and I hope that you all did as well. So before we finally close this session, I just want to remind us that we're going to have a session like this to next week, not tomorrow. Next week with Ubachuku Ani, who's an investment banker. So if you want to learn about investment banking, please don't forget to join the session tomorrow. Then we have someone, Zainab. She worked as a compliance analyst at Bank of America. We have James, a graduate analyst at St. James Place Wealth Management UK, works in wealth management. So please, please, please don't forget to join us same time next week, Saturday. And I look forward to seeing, to being in your midst and speaking to you next week. Finally, connect with us. The Finance Hub, like I said in the beginning, we have lots of initiatives and we want you to watch this space. So please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, tag us on LinkedIn. If you really enjoyed this session, feel free to tag us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and we'll repost, we'll retweet, and we would engage with you. So thank you so much, Ayobami, for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. I believe from the comments I'm seeing, I believe that a lot of people have been inspired and they really enjoyed this session. And I know that they have benefited from this conversation with you. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone, for staying tuned. Thank you so much, Ngozi, for inviting me. I'm really honored, like I mentioned earlier, to be here. And
it's an honor to have you here as well.
Yeah. And like, don't feel limited by whatever it is. Just, if you know something, just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Do have a nice evening. Thank you for your time. You can still stay. So I'm not going to end the webinar. You can still stay on the webinar while I might not be on video, but you can stay on the webinar and try to connect with people. It's really important that you connect with people. Bye, Ayobami. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, guys. But please stay on and connect. Try to connect with people. Try to, you can get your LinkedIn profile link and plug it in. And I'll try as much as possible to connect with everybody here on Twitter, LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.